Once again, we're live here at the Gray Fossil Site here in Gray, Tennessee, and it is a beautiful day outside, but they are working away outside and inside here at the Gray Fossil Site. And right now, I am joined by Dr. Stephen Wallace. And Doctor, you got so much going on, I want to jump right into it because you got some great discoveries that have been made. One of them, red pandas, and you actually have some red panda skull fragments here.
Yeah, actually, this is one of our nicest specimens. This is our male red panda. We've discovered that our red pandas are actually sexually dimorphic, and this particular specimen is fantastic. And what I always like to say is that when we go into our collections, I can show you the world's most complete fossil red panda, and then if you want to see the second most complete, I just open the second drawer because we have just beautiful, beautiful material.
And that is one of the allures of working out here is you just never know what's going to come out of the ground here.
Yeah, it's sort of like panning for gold. I mean, you never know what you might find, and that's what keeps us digging. Because sure, we could find the coolest thing in the world today, but we'll keep digging because you never know what you'll find tomorrow.
And one thing you found just recently, the vertebra of a small alligator.
Yeah, and what really makes that interesting and exciting for us is that when you find baby alligators, it tells you that they're not just wandering in occasionally, they're actually living here and they're breeding here. And what's neat for us is, we've only found one or two from the whole site, but it's also showing us that maybe we need to start exploring different parts of the site. And even the map that David was showing you earlier and the analyses that he's doing is telling us that different parts of the site preserve slightly different environments. And so maybe we just need to get closer to the shore, the old shore of the pond. And maybe that's what we're doing when we find these little things.
And we were talking off camera here earlier, but this was once right here a large pond or a small lake, however you want to look at it. And this was a watering hole for a lot of these animals.
Yeah, I think you have to envision it as this, giant pond in the middle of a forest. And so a variety of animals would have come here for water, and you would have had some, of course, that lived here. But, the thing to keep in mind is it's not necessarily a trap as much as just an attraction. Right. And so the day-to-day activities around a watering hole, and slowly but surely, occasionally animals die, and they just pile up for us to find.
And recently you found a rhinoceros limb, a hind limb from a rhinoceros.
Rhinos are one of our kind of more common animals. They're not the most common. Tapirs, of course, are always going to take the prize there. But it was kind of a fun find. We had a few bones that were washing out of almost a path we were walking on. And, of course, when they explore, out comes this whole nicely articulated hind foot of a rhino. And it's beautiful. It's actually gorgeous. And it's funny because we almost take them for granted. Like, oh, it's just a rhino. But it's a rhino in Tennessee, so.
And we were talking earlier, when you come in here, there are bone fragments around all over. There's completed bones that you put together. It is kind of like putting together a gigantic puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, and the analogy that I like to use is it's a three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle with no original picture. But like a jigsaw puzzle, it only goes together one way. Right. So if you take your time and you work your way through it, you will get it back together. Because we're fortunate, even though a lot of our bones are crushed, they're not deformed. Right. So they go back together really nicely.
And having David Carney's expertise there with the GIS and all of that, putting that story together, that helps a lot too.
It's nice because I'll admit when I first arrived, I mean I've been here, I told you, nearly 20 years now. We started surveying right off the bat, and that was always my hope, is that someone would come along and actually start using this data. But we knew it was important to collect at the time. We just needed someone to come along and actually do it. So it was fantastic to have David start working on it. We have other students that are working on it. Sean Hogrud, our preparator, is actually starting a project himself, and so more students are starting to dive into this.
And let's talk about, you're kind of combining those two pits with the mastodon and the rhino together. You actually also have a small tapir that you have encapsulated as well. You recently opened.
Yeah, we ran into the jaws of a very young tapir, and then there's jaws of another adult tapir next to it. It's kind of the running joke out here. Our tapirs are so common. I mean, we have the largest fossil tapir site on Earth. There's no other site like this, and so it is kind of the running joke that if you hit something, I just yell tapir because that's probably what it is. But at the same time, that's a good problem to have because we also can learn so much more about the life history of these animals with this kind of a sample.
And you told me you've had some studies conducted, and you're just scratching the surface of the amount of material that's available out here for y'all to dig.
Yeah, we'll be here for a long time. Dr. Whitelaw, quite a few years ago, published a a gravity survey of the site, and just for fun, he decided to take that survey and do an estimate of the volume of the fossil site, and then look at how much we've dug so far and how fast we're digging, and he came up with this rough approximation of about 16,000 years left of digging. And so he had a slide one time that he showed that had a little lawn chair with a skeleton in it with a beard hanging off of it, so I guess that was supposed to be me.
Just 16,000 years down the road.
Yeah, down the road.
Dr. Stephen Wallace, thank you so much for taking some time with us today. Sure. Folks, the Gray Fossil Site, it is a great place to visit. If you've not been here, come out here, check it out, see what's going on here. It is a great asset to this entire community as we learn more about the history of our region here in the East Tennessee Highlands. We'll be back with more Daytime coming up in just a few moments.